Hey moms and dads, welcome to our channel Just Mom Dad Things. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what to expect in the first 40 days postpartum. So imagine this, you're in the hospital, you've delivered a baby, and you know that you're going to be there for 2 to 3 days depending on whether you've had a normal delivery or a C-section. You have nurses and doctors running around you all the time. They make sure that the baby is being changed, the baby is being fed, and that you're getting enough rest. अब आता है टाइम घर आने का. In my case, I remember when I came home, suddenly this feeling started sinking in that बच्चा तो पैदा कर लिया, अब आगे क्या? You know, I remember feeling so overwhelmed because I had no clue what am I supposed to do next. I knew that people are going to ask me questions. Ki, the baby is crying, what do we do? You know, is the baby hungry? Does the baby need to be changed? And I remember feeling a little clueless and lost in the start. I just wish I had like a ready reckoner or something of that sort to refer to with respect to this whole new phase of my life. But you don't need to worry because I've got you covered. So let's start with breastfeeding. Now in breastfeeding, there are 4 basic positions which your lactation consultant or your doctor will tell you about. The first one is football hold. So you basically hold the baby in one hand and this is how you feed her or him. The next one is the cradle hold. So basically your child's head is in the nook of your arm and this is how you feed. So the nook and the breast on the same side. The next one is the cross cradle hold, where you hold the baby's head with your opposite hand and you have the other hand right under the baby. And the last one and the most comfortable one is the side lying position, where you're basically lying side facing on the bed with your baby next to you and you're feeding the baby. Now in my case, I preferred the football hold in the start for quite some time because I had a sensitive scar and it helped to keep the weight off my abdomen area. Eventually I moved to side lying position, like quite in the end. It was a bit challenging because burping is an issue and my baby was a spit up baby, so it used to get a little difficult and it was a little uncomfortable for her. After football, after a lot of trouble and difficulty, I started doing the cradle position for quite some time. Now, one of the things that I wish someone had told me is that in football hold, your arm is going all the way to the back, which puts a lot of strain on your shoulder. I remember having so much shoulder pain. So I think the best way to move about positions would be to keep changing it once in a while so that your joints get enough rest, Let's move to the frequency and duration now. So the frequency in the start, at least for a month, is recommended to be every 2 hours. You're supposed to feed on schedule. Eventually it moves to feed on demand, where you see feeding cues and stuff like that. We'll talk about that in another video. So it's not necessary that the feed is going to be every 2 hours. Sometimes it's in 45 minutes, sometimes it's in an hour, sometimes it's in 2 hours. In my case, what I did is I used to keep an alarm, and if Vamika has not woken up in 2 hours, I used to wake her up and I used to feed her. And then the diaper change and all of those things used to follow. Now, the duration of a feed honestly depends on a lot of things and it varies from mom to mom. It can be one of the factors rather that decides the frequency of the feed can be how well the baby has latched, what is the kind of a supply that you have, what is the kind of letdown that you have, and a lot of other things. Now, one of the things that we moms are worried about in the initial days is the supply. It is so stressful कि हमको लगता है हमारे हाथ में है ये, but it's not. you just have to keep feeding the baby because it's a whole supply demand cycle. Jitna tum feed karoge, utna supply badega. That's how biology works. Now, in my case, what I used to also do was that if my feed is going on for say 15 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes even half an hour, uske baad, if Vamika has unlatched and she's crying, and obviously in the start, if there is no other reason, the primary reason that a baby is crying is mostly hunger. So we used to give her a top feed of formula. Iske alawa, after a week, what I also started doing is I used to pump. So I used to pump once before I used to retire for the day, and I used to pump once before lunch. ताकि हमारा जो टॉप अप है वो हर बार फॉर्मूला नहीं बट पम्प्ड मिल्क भी जा रहा है. Now there are multiple things that we used to feed her the top up feed. I'm calling formula or the pumped milk top up feed, so just bear with me. So we used to use a paladai. We used it twice, but उससे ज़्यादा हम नहीं कर पाए because the mouth of the paladai was so sharp. हमको डर लगता था कि वामिका को लग जाएगी. In the hospital, the nurses are obviously very hands-on and very used to this, but we decided to just let it go. So we moved to a more easier and a more old way, which was the katori chammach. So that worked for us. Sometimes we also used to use a dropper. Now honestly, people also use bottles, but I never preferred bottles because I was worried about nipple confusion. So I've never used bottles in my whole feeding experience. Now newborns are very sleepy beings, okay? While feeding, they tend to sleep at the breast. So there are 2-3 ways that you can make sure that they are at least feeding as much as they should. Some of the things are you flick their ears lightly, or you rub their temples, or if their arms are in the swaddle, you remove them and you slightly start rotating them. You can also stroke their palms and their feet. So another thing that we moms are worried about in the start when it comes to our babies is my child getting enough milk? Is my supply good enough? Honestly, there are 3 ways to find that out. The first one is weight gain. So you will see that in the first 4-5 days, your baby is going to lose some weight. This is a very normal thing to happen. They lose 7 to 10% of their body weight because their body are filled with some kinds of fluids which need to be shed after they are born. They start gaining weight after the 5th day, and you will notice that within the first 2 weeks, rather the 2 weeks after the 5th day, they are supposed to gain back their birth weight. There are also a couple of papers that I have read which say that a standard of 500 to 700 grams of weight gain per month is seen in kids, and the standard weight gain would be say doubling by 4 to 6 months and tripling by 1 year, doubling and tripling of their birth weight. So let's move to pee count. It is said that the number of pees is equal to the number of days up to 6 days post birth. Now what does this exactly mean? Let me break it down for you. Say it's day 1 of the baby. It means that the baby should have minimum 1 pee that day. If it's day 2 for the baby, there should be minimum 2 pees that day, and so on and so forth till day 6. After day 6, there should be at least 6 to 8 pees, which you can figure out in 2 ways. 1. If your baby is being diapered, it's a little difficult to actually have a proper count of the number of pees, so you count the number of soiled diapers. Trust me, baby go through diapers left, right and center, so it's very easy to figure it out. Number 2 would be if you are using langots or if you're using cloth diapers for your babies. Usme to samajh jayega because it hardly holds like 1 pee. So you'll be able to figure out the number of pees the baby has had. Now coming to poop count. So the poop that the child passes in the first 24 hours after birth is called meconium. It is black in color and it is absolutely normal. Now it is black because of the stuff that the baby has ingested in the womb. The lanugo, the amniotic fluid, and a lot of other things that were there inside. Eventually, this black poop moves to a green color and then it moves to a yellow mustardy color, which is seedy or pasty in texture. Just like I mentioned in the pee count section, the poop count also has to be equal to the number of days up to 6 days after birth. So day 1 is 1 poop, day 2 is 2 poop, and so on and so forth. After day 6, you should be seeing at least 3 to 5 coin-sized poops in your baby's diaper. Sometimes you will see that the baby is pooping in every diaper change, which was in our case, and we used to think that loose motion ho gaya, diarrhea ho gaya. But the doctor reassured us that this is absolutely normal. There's also a difference in the texture of the poop, the kind of poop, the frequency of the poop, depending on how the baby is being fed. If it's breastfed, formula fed, or combination fed. So if you're someone like me who likes to be prepared and who likes to do her research so that she knows exactly what she's doing, these are the kind of videos that I plan on making so that I can make your life easier. And I just hope you liked this video. Don't forget to drop a like, and don't forget to drop any comments below about what are the kind of videos you would like to see in the future. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye.